So Black Clover episode 168 was really dope, and it finally gave us the opportunity to see all of the captains in the anime for their first appearance outside of the like opening intro. Like we actually got more of a detailed look at them, and it reminded me of something that I forgot about when reading it, and that was how ugly Fuegoleon's shirt is. And honestly,
Yeah, I gotta get security. I want this man out of my sight right here. Get him out of here. He's got no place in here. Get rid of him, okay?
like I want to say people were saying it might look better animated, and it honestly looks a little bit worse to me, to be honest. Looks a little bit worse. His shirt is just not doing it. It is just not doing it for me at all in just any capacity. It is really bad. But into the actual episode, because I do have something else to say about Captain designs later. But as far as the actual episode goes, it's like, of course they're still doing the whole thing where they're like adapting like 3 chapters at like a time and all that, and it's flowing really well. But the craziest thing about this episode is I feel like lots of the emotions or things that I feel like a lot of the fandom was assuming characters were feeling seems a little bit different in the anime. It's like, take for this very first example, in the very beginning, they're getting checked out by Owen. Like Owen's, checking out Asta, making sure he's okay, healing him, and then they move over to Gauche. And then this was a big point that, Gray's magic might not actually be transformation magic, just because according to Owen, it doesn't seem like Gauche was ran through by a giant sword and then healed. It seems like his tissue were like completely rebuilt or like reformed. So like he was saying that the very nature of Gray's magic may not be transformation magic. Now, as you can see here, because I'm going to put the panel up, as you see here in the manga, it looks very like when he says this, Gray looks like worried or like concerned. Like there's like a definite face of like concern or worry here. And in the anime, it doesn't seem to be like that, because like, when Gauche asks him, like, well, what is this magic, and he's like, oh, that's up to Gray to find out, and she's like, yes. Like, she doesn't seem nearly as concerned or worried as she kind of seemed in the manga. And I don't think this is just me. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can probably agree, just looking at it, a lot of the emotions just look different. And then after that, we get the scene of Asta, resting in his room when he checks his grimoire, and like it's almost like he wakes up to check his grimoire, like just to double check to make sure everything is real. One of those moments when you kind of have like a surreal moment in life, and you're like, wait a second, did all that really just happen? He checks his grimoire, sees that Yami's katana's still in there, and he like darts out. And this is when he gets approached. Like, we get our finally actual anime reveal of the Black Bulls vice captain Nacht. And I can honestly say, I feel like his voice actor was a very interesting choice, because this same voice actor, he also, as far as like popular characters that I know of, he also does like Zenitsu and Dabi, which just seems really weird. It seems like this guy has some range to do like lots of different kind of characters, but honestly, I think it actually fits really, really well. And I feel like this whole scene of like Asta talking to him, it just flowed really nice. Like, I mean, the animation in this episode wasn't like anything super crazy, just because it was like primarily a dialogue heavy episode. But like the little moment where like all the hands come out and like grab Asta and pin him down, like I really did like how that looked. Another thing that I thought was really interesting is the whole like scene where Asta is like crying because he's like too weak and he wasn't able to do anything to like save Yami, or do anything extra to save Yami. Because to say he couldn't do anything would just be wrong. But how he just couldn't do enough to save him, and it made me remember that like outside of this time, like Asta has really only cried one other time, and that was when he was just really thankful for his friends after his arms were like broken. So it's like, for this to be the only other time Asta has cried, I thought this was like, it didn't show any growth or anything or any development, I'd say, but I just think it was just a really good moment for Asta's character. To me, that's just how I felt. Now we can move on to the captain's meeting, which is kind of where I have the most things to say about, because the captain's meeting was, I want to say, in the manga, it was like 2 chapters. It was like a solid 2 chapters. So it was actually kind of long when you think about what it actually is, and they just like crammed it all into like the half of this episode, which kind of made me upset in a way, because they left out 2 scenes that I really liked in the manga. They left out 2 real scenes. There was like one scene where Charlotte is kind of like getting at Real, because he mentions that Yami could be dead, and there's another scene when all the captains started arguing. Real was worried about that, and they didn't, and they left that out too. I mean, I understand these small comedic moments don't really add anything, but I just thought they were funny in the manga, so I kind of wanted to see them in the anime too. But as far as the actual meeting and Fuegoleon's ugly shirt aside, and the missed real scenes, because I guess nobody's really checking for real all like that. I feel like they did a pretty decent job of it. I like the beginning touch of having like Marks show them what happened, because you know Marks does have memory magic, so it would totally make sense that like the report from the Black Bulls would include memories of what they seen. This could actually be extremely useful. I didn't really think about that when they were doing it in the manga, but I felt like that was just like a really nice touch. In addition to one of the design things that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about would be Jack. Is it just me, or does Jack seem kind of like, he seems kind of beefy? Like Jack seems kind of, I don't know, he just seems bigger than he did. Like his arms seem like they got some mass to him. He doesn't seem as lanky as he did in the beginning of the series. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but he definitely just seems more built in my opinion. Which is interesting, because even to this moment in the manga, I feel like he still looks lankier. I don't know, that might just be the anime making him a little bit bulkier. But yes, it's after the captains start to argue a bit that Nacht makes his appearance, and you know, of course, no one really knows who he is, because you know, no one has ever even seen the vice captain of the Black Bulls. So I mean, it makes sense that Julius knows, because you know, Julius is the Wizard King. Yami probably ran it by him at some point to make it official and all that. But like the other captains really just don't know who he was. And Fuegoleon even notes that, you know, the vice captain of the Black Bulls could have been anybody, and except Jack. Jack recognizes him as like as potentially like, wait a second, I thought your magic was, and then this is when Nacht cuts him off. I found it really interesting that in this moment, Nacht just introduced himself as the vice captain, as the Black Bulls, and didn't say his name to anyone. I thought that was really interesting when looking at what's all going on. But aside from that, Nacht basically runs down everything that's going on inside of the Spade Castle. Even Nozel is impressed at how much information he was able to gather on his own. There's also the reveal that Nacht has 4 devils. Actually, speaking of Nacht, I totally forgot to talk about Gimendello. He was one of my favorite parts of this episode. Like, just me. Like, I don't know if there's anybody else who was a fan of him, but like how he sounds is literally perfect for him. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but he literally sounds perfect. Like, he sounds like a little small imp, like devil. Like they got whoever that voice actor is, or what they did to make him sound like that. That is absolutely perfect. Like 10 out of 10 for what he looks like he should sound like. Back into Nacht running down the plane, he also tells them all of their magics. You know, Dante having gravity and body, Vanak having blood and curse warding, and then Xenon having spatial as well as bone. You know, kind of, you know, breaking down everything for the captains so they can plan their attack. You know, saying that they're going to invade in the next 3 days, and that they're going to turn, or not they, but he is going to turn Austin to the ultimate warrior to go against the Spade Kingdom. So basically just running down everything for them, which like is like I said, this was a dialogue heavy episode, and the fact that they crammed 3 dialogue heavy chapters into 1 episode is kind of crazy. There's definitely a lot to it. But the big major thing that I wanted to talk about before I end the review part of the video is Yuno. Like how I was talking about with the emotions and kind of people's moods being kind of different. I feel like Yuno's mood was very different in this episode than it was in the manga, because in the manga, I'll put up the panels of Yuno. He looks very distressed, he looks tired, he looks angry, like he looks depressed, like he has way more on his face. And even when Asta was like, yeah, Yuno, let's go save our captains, and they fist bump or whatever, he still seems really upset. However, in the anime, he seems more determined. So like, it's one of those things where I wonder, like, should we interpret it more as the original manga intent and think of it as, you know, looking more serious or like kind of sad, or should we take it as the anime is portraying it, where Yuno doesn't look nearly as sad? Because I remember people were saying like, oh, Yuno's gonna go rogue, or Yuno's gonna turn evil, or Yuno's forever changed, or he's forever different off of this. Like, and in reality, like Yuno was still kind of the exact same. So I thought that was all like really interesting. And then at the very end of the episode, we did get the reveal that Noelle is with the elves, you know, that the elves somehow saved them, or saved her in the Heart Kingdom, I guess, from the giant explosions, or the curse warding bombs. Like, I forget the name of what Vanica had called them, but yeah, they had somehow saved her from that. So like, and then they end the episode right there before we can get a lot of the information. So I'm really excited for next episode, because it's going to be another really good info dump. So I'm just really excited for it. So all in all, episode was really good. I give it like 6.5. Yeah, a 6.5 seems fair. They crammed lots of information and dialogue into 1 episode, so kudos to them on that, and it looked pretty dope. And then I'm just really curious to know how you guys feel about the difference in emotions. Like, do you guys think that like how are you guys feeling about how they did Yuno's scene with Asta? Because like I said, for you manga readers, you realize that like he looked way sadder than this. Like, he looked different. So I just want to know how you guys feel about that. Also, let me know how you guys feel about Noct's voice actor. Do you think it's a good fit? Like I said, I think it fits perfectly for him. Same thing for Gimadello. You think Gimadello's voice is perfect? I know anybody who doesn't like Gimadello's voice, I don't know if I can even trust him at this point. I don't even know. But yes, let me know all that stuff down below. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, as well as subscribe to the channel for more Black Clover content coming in the very near future. Aside from that, you guys enjoy the rest of your guys' day, and I will see you all in my next video.